Hi class, let's look at the fourth type of precipitation, main type of precipitation, the worst type of precipitation ever invented, freezing rain. So with freezing rain, we start off with a cloud that's made up of ice crystals. The ice crystals form via the Bergeron process, and these ice crystals will fall below the cloud base, and they will enter into a layer of air that is above the freezing level. So let's just say here, above this line, the temperatures are below the freezing point. Okay, so the ice crystals stay ice crystals. And then below this line, we have an above freezing layer of air. Okay, and so these ice crystals are going to melt. Okay. So let's make a note of that. So ice crystals fall into an above freezing layer of air. And melt into liquid droplets. Okay, let's leave those there for a second. This layer of above freezing temperatures is not going to last for long. Once we get closer to the surface, okay, and I'll just draw this all the way across here. Okay, we have a pretty shallow at the surface, and I'll put that. So at the surface, we have a shallow sub-freezing layer of air. Okay, so let's make sure that we make note of that. So the temperatures at the surface are below the freezing point. Okay, and so that means that everything at the surface, this tree, yes, this is a car. This car, these power lines or telephone lines are all at the same temperature as the air. So all of these objects at the surface are going to be at temperatures below the freezing point. Okay, so we have the raindrops now. They were snowflakes, fell into this above freezing layer of air. They melted into raindrops, and they continue to fall. And when they encounter this sub-freezing layer of air at the Earth's surface, okay, the rain does not have time to refreeze. Okay, so when the rain encounters or enters the sub-freezing layer of air, is going to get kind of wordy, sorry about that. So when the rain enters the sub-freezing layer of air at the surface, okay, this layer is so shallow that it doesn't give the raindrops time to refreeze. Okay, so when the rain enters the sub-freezing layer of air at the surface, there isn't time to refreeze. Okay. There is only time. To super cool those drops. Okay, and so these raindrops, they don't refreeze. The subfreezing layer of air at the surface is so shallow, it doesn't give the raindrops time to refreeze. It only gives them time to become super cooled. And so when they finally reach the Earth's surface, okay, these raindrops will freeze on contact. Okay, with the objects at the surface. Okay, so all of these objects at the surface are going to get coated with ice because the raindrops, which are now super cooled, are going to freeze on contact. So any of these branches, the trees, they're going to get coated with ice, and if you get too thick of a coating of ice, it's going to break the branches off. Cars are going to be coated with ice. You probably won't be able to get into them, and if you can get into them, it's, you know, depending on how thick that ice is, it's really hard to get that ice off windshields. Power lines or telephone lines can get coated with ice and bring those lines down. So this is just a really nasty type of precipitation. Okay, and it all starts with ice crystals falling into or through an above freezing layer of air in the atmosphere, which melts those ice crystals into raindrops. And then at the Earth's surface, you have a sub-freezing layer of air, a very shallow sub-freezing layer of air that does not refreeze the raindrops and only gives them time to become super cooled. And then when they hit an object at the surface, the object at the surface is below the freezing point. When the raindrop encounters or falls on that cold object at the Earth's surface, the raindrop is going to freeze on contact. And so that the key here is how deep is this sub-freezing layer of air. If it's shallow, that's when you're going to get freezing rain. If it's a bit deeper, that is when you're going to get sleet. And that's going to be the next form of precipitation that we talk about. Okay.